welcome back to a new episode of Project Analysis Series. I am Joy and this is Alex. Today we are going to talk about the Lentoria. Shall we start?
Yes, so like what I say in the last episode, this session that we are doing is we are going into very in-depth analysis. Today we are going through Lentoria. So we will be also going through like what price is a good price for you to go in, what per floor jump is a good gauge for you to understand when you are buying in the launch time. Because these are very important information when you go into the launch. You need to have all the homework done before you go into the balloting. Because a lot of time when we go into balloting, we will make mistakes like because under pressure, we go and buy something. Maybe a 5th floor unit is better, but we go and buy a 10th floor unit. So today we are going to run through every single details with you, very in-depth analysis. So we are also going to compare between Lentoria, Lentor Modern, Lentor Hill, Hillock Green. You know, there's so many projects in this surrounding. So these are all the things that we are going to run through. So today we are going right into Lentoria review. So before we go into it, we want to understand the whole area. Maybe Joy, you want to share with everyone what is this whole area we are talking about?
Okay, so this Lentoria is a relatively new township. As you can see here, there is a lot of empty plots of land. Some are already sold and some are going to be sold soon. Right here, you need to know about this Lentoria area is that is mostly monopolized by one developer. Alex, do you know who's the developer?
Is it Hong Leong and Guaco?
Yes. Only one plot that is very different is under another developer, which is called Soy Build, and that is your Hillock Green.
Yes.
Okay. And so let me give you a few backdrop. Lentor Modern was the first to launch here, followed by Lentor Hill Residences, followed by Hillock Green, and then we have the Lentoria, which is what we're going to cover today. And after this, there will be Lentor Mansion. So something that you need to know is that before Lentor Mansion actually will be launched, right, Lentoria will be the last plot of land that will not be affected by this ruling called harmonization, which we will explain in other videos in our channel. So you can have a look over there. All right, I'm not going to dive into detail into that.
Okay, so I mean, you can see here, this is quite a new town, and the government is putting a lot of effort into this area. They're building a brand new private enclave town to fit in everything. So they even have parks, all these things that is planned. So in fact, that's why there's quite a lot of interest in this area because buyers are coming in here. Location-wise, it's still quite okay. Plus, they have a brand new town that they will be looking forward to. But today, we're not going to go in-depth into this Lentor region. We are just going to do comparison between all the projects that we have available. And lastly, within Lentoria, what are the units that we think that will be the best choice if you are looking to buy a property itself in this development. Okay, so we have 4 developments now that is already launched. As you can see, all the details are here. What are the main things that we want to look at? Very, very important is first the land size. Okay, because when you look at the land size and the units that is given, it shows that how many place in terms of the land itself is cater for the landscaping, the facilities itself. So it doesn't mean that bigger land size is definitely good because sometimes bigger land size come in more units. Correct or not, Joy?
Yeah, but I got one question. You see, the number of car parks over here, right? For Lentor Modern and Lentoria, the number of car parks doesn't cater to 100% of the residents. What's your take on this?
So, I mean, if you ask me, definitely if you have 100% car park lots is the best line. But of course, if you got a lot of 1-bedroom or a lot of 2-bedroom small one, car park lots might not be applicable to these owners because they might be renting out and the people there might be looking to take MRT, things like that. But the problem with Lentoria is not significantly super near to the MRT comparing to like Hillock Green or Lentor Hill. So this is the part that I'm a bit concerned about.
I have a different take because for the Lentoria, right, or rather all the projects surrounding Lentor Modern, right, they all have sheltered walkway. And based on what I know or what we know, is about 5 to 8 minutes walk from Lentoria to Lentor MRT. So what's your concern actually?
I mean, if you ask me, Hillock Green and Lentor Hill is the one that is both that's nearest, but they have 100% car park lots. And Lentoria is a bit further, but they have maybe about 85% cover lots. I think it's not a big issue. The thing is that I can't figure out why further away they give lesser lots. So that's the challenge that you might be facing when you sell, because the future buyer that's coming in, they might do a comparison between all these projects.
Oh, that's true. And it's all launched around the same time, right? So yeah, that'll be quite a challenge.
So during a resale time, I think that the buyer will ask, it's not a
Makes
big
sense.
problem, but the buyer will definitely ask you why this is 85%. So you need to answer to all these things.
So how will you answer?
I think we just need to be honest about this whole thing. We just need to tell them that this is some of the disadvantage of Lentoria. But what is the advantage? The advantage is land size 116,000 square feet. This is 140,000, 180,000, 180,000. But in terms of unit, you look at here is 474. Here is only 260. So it's almost half the unit, but the land size is 2/3.
Less crowded.
Less crowded, more facilities, more landscaping. Same thing here. You see, this is 180,000 square feet. But the unit is more than double, even for Lentor Modern. So which means that the land size, this is definitely a better, has some advantage over here.
Okay. And how about the non-PVC? I see that
Yes.
that might be something that everyone might be concerned as well, because you want to do a lot of hacking, right, when you sell to potential resale buyer.
So in terms of non-PVC, there's another advantage. You see, the rest of the 3 projects are all PVC except this. So non-PVC, the difference is what? You can hack most of the wall, which means that you can reconfigure.
Okay.
Second thing, your wall is not as thick as PVC. So when we buy a property, the square feet, right? Let's say we take a 900 square feet. 900 square feet include all the walls. The wall space are included inside.
Right. So am I right to say if in Lentoria, let's say if the bedroom size is 8.5 square meter, but the actual size might be the same as Lentor Modern's 9 square meter?
Possible, because they measure based on the wall to wall.
Okay, so the wall is thinner in that
the
way.
wall is slightly thinner.
Okay.
So now we go into some of the details of Lentoria. So what is some of the important things that we are looking at here?
Well, I guess everyone is concerned about TOP date, which is around 2027, and I believe most of the projects here will TOP around the same time.
Yes, so I think Lentoria is slightly earlier than the rest because it's
Smaller.
and it's non-PVC. So all these things plays a part into it. Next, where is actually Lentoria? Is slightly further from the MRT. This is actually Lentor Hill. So it's just a bit further away, just a street across.
I think this is something that a lot of parents will be asking, because one of the most famous school, or rather popular school around this area is CHIJ St. Nicholas. So actually not all the properties in the Lentor town, right, is within 1 kilometer from this school. So what's your take on being close to a popular school? Do you think it will really affect the property price?
I've done some research and I realized that actually near school, it doesn't pull up your prices. I even go very in depth into analyzing one block that's nearer one block that is out of one click.
That reminds me, I think there's something like Jadescape. Because Jadescape, there are certain blocks, right, that's within 1 kilometer from Aitong, I think. Yeah. So we found out that actually those that is nearer to within the 1 kilometer from Aitong doesn't really necessarily outperform the rest. In fact, they are on par in terms of profit margin. Okay, that's interesting.
But when you're near schools, it's easier for you to sell. You sell faster. You have definitely slightly more demand. So it's still a good thing. So now we want to go straight into Lentoria in terms of site plan and the distribution chart and explaining all the floor plans to you. What are the pros and cons and what are the units that we will definitely want to put our focus on.
Yes.
So this is a site plan for Lentoria.
Pretty straightforward, huh? Only, 3 blocks?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I think it's easy to see at one glance, right? So I think something to note over here.
Yes, something very important here. Always when we want to buy a development, this is one of the most important factors. How many units of supply for each unit type? Like the 1 bedroom got 23, 2 bedroom got 120. Because I always said we can guess the demand. Okay, but we can't determine the demand because we can't be sure about what is going to be the demand.
Right.
We can say that maybe Lentor area will have more 4-bedroom buyers, correct? But one thing that is confirmed is the supply. So, but for Lentor area, you don't just want to see the supply for Lentoria. You want to see the supply of all the projects that is in the region so that you understand what are the type of units that is safer to buy. I mean, that's one thing.
Is it because they are all launched very closely, like back to back?
Yeah, so they will all take keys very, very close to each other, which is a concern also. Which means that when I sell, another project will be my competitors also. I'm not just competing within my own development. So I need to understand how many units are there in all this development that we are talking about. So next, this is the distribution chart.
Yes. Okay, I think one thing about site plan is because they are very flat. So you might assume that they are of the same height. But because Lentor Town is under an area where it's under government, so I remember you shared that there are certain requirements, right? Like the buildings have to be one tall, one short. Is there any reason to that?
So the government actually want to build Lentor Town as a whole town together, not just individual projects. So all the projects have to form into the whole flow of the town. So they have a certain plan for all the developers, like which site have to build which floor. That's why you can see one block that is shorter and two blocks that is at the 17th floor. So these two blocks is 17th floor, this block is on the 8th floor. So you go to Lentor Hill, there is also like tall and short blocks also.
Yes.
So
correct.
it's the same thing to
That's
have the
very
flow
interesting
in.
because I think mainly government is seldom involved in planning of residential towns. So this is one of the very rare few residential towns that are involved. And for this Lentoria itself, right, for the level 1 units on level 1, which is the ground floor, and also the highest floor, they all comes with additional void area. So Alex, what's your take on this void area? Because void area, as we know, right, with the higher ceiling, usually we might need to pay a premium for it.
Okay, so what we understand from the developer for Lentoria, right, is that they are not going to, because usually it's like that. I just, let's say this is a plan of 900 square feet. This is second floor. Then if it's on the ground floor, it will be 1100 square feet. Why is that so? Because they actually count the void area. So which means that the living room have a void area which is a very high ceiling, 5.5 over meter. The area is double count. So living area is maybe 200 square feet plus 200 square feet. That's why it's become 1,100 square feet. But for Lentoria, they are telling us that even the top floor and the ground floor or whichever will be the same size. So which means that this is 900. Even with the void area, this will be 900. So in fact, when you listen to this,
does that mean the price is going to be the same for level 1 and 2?
So that's why what we are trying to say here is that sometimes developer can price it differently. They give you the same size, but they increase the per square foot for the ground floor and the top floor. So which means that you can see maybe the second floor is 2,000 per square foot. The ground floor can be 2,002, 2,003 per square foot. So you have to still calculate based on your whether is it worthwhile. To me, I feel paying a 5 to 10% premium might be still doable.
Yes.
Anything more than 10 is definitely no go. Anything less than 5 is definitely a good buy that you can look at.
And also, just for everyone's info, right, the void area doesn't apply in the living area or dining area. It applies throughout the entire house, meaning your bedrooms as well. So this is quite, I would say, rare in today's market.
Because usually the void area will be only applicable to the living area. So this one, even your bedroom, all your bedrooms or master bedroom all have. So which means that
cannot imagine.
That's why I give a 10% range because usually if only the living area, I mean, we also don't want to pay extra for that. But this one really you got a lot more space. But bear in mind the challenge is
you need a ladder.
I don't think ladder can solve the issue. You need to hire
high,
people to come and change light for you because it's really high. So that's one thing. Okay. So with this, we are going next into the layout. So layout wise, first we will start with the one bedroom. So one bedroom layout, we have only 2 types of layout. So maybe Joy, you want to share on this?
Yes, for the one bedroom over here, as we can see just now, right, it's extremely rare. Not only in the Lentoria itself, not only in this development, but in the entire Lentor town, which we will show more in depth later. Okay, so for the one bedroom over here, comes only in one size, as you can see, but in 2 different layouts, and they are either facing the pool, which is inner facing, or facing towards Lentor Mansion, which is the upcoming development over there. So the main difference over here, right, is just this part, which means because this is on stack 2 is over here. It's the pool facing, which means, right, you will not be able to actually look to the other side from your balcony because it's blocked. Other than that, I really don't see any huge difference. But frankly, because I think the price range for this one bedroom in this area is around 1.2 to even 1.3. Is it a bit high for one bedroom in an area like that? What's your take on this?
So later we will run through that, but before we go into the numbers, right? In terms of the layout, you can't see the difference, correct? But there is one thing that you need to notice. There's 3 stacks available for one bedroom, which is the 5 and 6 are facing Lentor Mansion, which means facing outside. And the stack 2 is facing pool. Most of the time, stack 2 will be the most expensive because you have a better facing. So you got to understand in this scenario, straightforward recommendation is 5 and 6. Why? Because when you buy a 1 bedroom, nobody cares about the view. Your tenants will not say that, oh, you got a pool view, I pay you $200, $300 more. Maybe it's easier for you to rent out, but they will not pay you extra for the pool view. If you talk about investment wise, cheapest unit for 1 bedroom is the way to go. But now we look at the surrounding supply first. Then we will go into the price point. So you can see from here.
Yeah, I think Lentor model is very sold out. Actually quite limited right now in the market.
So in terms of the units left, you see Lentor Modern left 1 unit, Lentor Hill left 8 unit, Hillock Green left 6 unit. But I'm not interested in how much unit is left. I'm interested in total. So you add everything together, there's only 182 units with 4 developments, which is quite rare because usually 1 bedroom will take out a big chunk.
Yes, correct.
But here you can see Lentor Modern 63, which means it's only slightly more than 10%. Of the whole development.
The other 2-bedder, 3-bedder or 4-bedder, they are about in the range of 500-600 units. So it's really very low in supply of it. So obviously it's got to do with government's planning. Do you think so? Because it's mainly this town, right? Is mainly for own stay people.
Yeah, so I mean, if you ask me, definitely in this town, I would recommend more towards the big units. But looking at the supply, the 1 bedroom is something that you can consider because I don't think there will be any issue in rental. I mean, selling will not be that easy because there's not so much demand. But with so little supply, I don't think you will see a very big problem. I mean, now I've been helping my client to sell a lot of units, some of them in the CBD. The bigger challenge in the CBD to sell a 1 bedroom is there is too many people who is selling together. So here, I don't see that there will be this issue that all the units will be together in the market at one shot. So I think you are still safe in terms of the supply that we have. But most important, I think, is the price point. So today we are going to go through what price point I think is safe to still go in for Lentoria. Yeah.
Okay, I see that the Lentor Modern, Lentor Hill, Hillock are all within the range of 1.1, right? So today, what's considered a safe price? 900,000?
900 is definitely very safe because we don't just look at the average. Average is this. The most important you want to look at is this.
The maximum.
1.28 for Lentor Modern. Lentor Hill done 1.357, which you can almost buy a 2-bedroom. So I also cannot really understand. But Hillock Green 1.252. So which means that this price is accepted in this region. Anything that I buy below this price will be quite safe. Okay?
That will be your margin?
In a way. So which means that if I buy at 1.05, there's a possibility I can sell at 1.25. I wouldn't say confirm, but there's a possibility because it's done before. But just now you say 900 plus thousand. I can tell you it's impossible in Lentoria.
Why?
Because Lentor Hill is done at 945. Their unit is, I think, is 474 square feet. Lentoria smallest is 538.
Oh, that's true.
So 538, you add on. I feel anything below 1.08 is quite a good safe buy. Okay, anything above, try not to go beyond 1.15. Anything beyond 1.15, I don't think you want to take so much risk. So a good range is below 1.08. Anything slightly above 1.0 to 1.15, I think this one still can consider if you have a certain budget that you're looking at. If not, then we can look at other developments, other units itself. But if you only got this price range, this is the price range that you should go for. Okay?
Okay. Because we did this because we want to know, what are our competitors, what is the per level jump. So we have a rough gauge. So like what Alex said earlier, right? If the price start from 1.08, for example, average, right, is about 9K increment. So how does that translate? How would that actually affect buyer in this sense?
Okay, so why we did up this pricing strategy is actually for you all. So next time when Lentoria launch, you all really want to go and buy, at what price point you will buy high floor. At what price point you will buy low floor. How to determine that? That is the most important. So how do we determine? So you look at here, the Lentor model is transacted at 1.072. Okay, the lower starting from. Per floor jump is estimated. I base on 9,000 I take the average out. So which means that per floor jump is about 0.9%. For Lentor Modern. Correct? Then for Lentor Hill, external facing 5,000 jump for 945 is how much? About 0.5%. Okay, for inner facing is about 0.7% per floor jump. For Hillock Green is also about 0.8, 0.9%. So you can see the range here. If you can find anything between 0.5 to 0.7 or even lower than 0.5, then go buy higher floor.
That's very interesting.
But if anything that exceed 0.8, go as low as possible.
This is just to ensure that you are relatively safe. You are not the one purchasing one of the highest, right, at the highest price.
I mean, we look at the surrounding, we understand the rest of development, how much they are paying for higher floor units. Main thing, we want to determine that we don't want to be overpaying. I think that's the most important that we want to make sure. So in short, if we can buy lower in terms of per floor jump, comparing to the rest, we have a safer entry. And we still get a high floor unit. But end of the day, you still have to be determined by, if I get a pool view unit, do I need a high floor unit? I mean, these are the things that you still need to think about. It's not just a fast track rule, which means that if a higher floor unit, the facing is lousier than a lower floor unit, then go for lower floor.
It sounds very tedious to just select based on this pricing strategy.
I mean, real estate is really a very big investment, so I think we need to really go in depth into all these things. Okay? So next, we are going into the 2-bedroom analysis. Okay? So first one is the B1 layout.
So 2-bedroom comes in 2 different sizes. We have the 700 square feet, which is what we are showing right now. And afterwards, we'll show you the 732 square feet. So for the 700 square feet, there is only one layout type, which is what you are seeing here. It's a very typical 2-bedroom layout. Alex, would you want to further elaborate on this layout? Because I think as agents, we have seen so many layouts. And to me, this is just another 2-bedroom layout.
I think definitely there isn't a wow factor for this layout, but of course, because of the 700 square feet, there is a chance that it will be slightly lower in prices. But the main concern, definitely I can tell you, I wouldn't consider this tag 13 and 20. Okay?
Is it because it's facing pool?
Because these are only the pool facing. So even if it's 700 square feet, that's smaller than the other of the 2-bedroom. If I add on a 5% premium, this will be more expensive really. Don't need to argue it. So which means that I buy a smaller unit at a higher price. And bear in mind, 2-bedroom buyers are mostly still for investment. So,
I think there's also a good amount of people here buying for own stay, no?
2-bedroom, I don't think there's so much. The supply of 2-bedroom is the most. But I think there will be a quite huge price disparity because the rest of the 2-bedroom are all facing here, which is facing the Yio Chu Kang Road, which means that this side should be the lowest price unit.
Because facing the main road
because the other side, just now the 1-bedroom is facing Lentor Modern. That side will not be so much of a difference in terms of pricing. But this side definitely will have. Because the pricing will be cheapest here. This is second cheapest. Then the most expensive will be inside. So now you're comparing the cheapest and the most expensive difference. So I think the premium will be quite a lot. Maybe about 5 to 8%.
Actually, it makes sense because for the 2-bedroom, right, it will be facing the shorter block in front, which means on certain level, if I recall, it's about level 11 or 12 and above, right, you also get unblocked view. If we were to look at the other 2-bedrooms, this is the 732 square feet layout, so there's 3 different layouts. As you can see here, right, it's all kitchenettes. There is no enclosable kitchen, which we will touch on this later as we compare to our competitors nearby. So the one main thing to point out for this 2-bedroom layout is that the middle one, type B3, there is a window. Do you think that this window will actually make any difference? Because that's possibly the only thing that is the real difference between these three. And also because the last one, right, the type B4S, there is an additional study space. And given the same size, if they manage to carve out another study space, would you prefer to go for B4?
I mean, there's quite a number of questions they ask. First one is the window. I definitely do not think this window is going to make a huge difference. So what difference does window make? Is when you have an enclosed kitchen. Then when you don't come with a window, your kitchen will be super dark.
True.
Okay?
But show flat one were all very nice.
But you need to on the light when you go into the kitchen.
Yep.
But when you have a window, sometimes daytime you do not need to on the light. Okay? But for this is part of your living room. So you on the light, example for this unit, on light here, it will be shining the whole thing. Sometimes the light will be two sides together one. Correct? So when I on it, the window doesn't make any difference to me.
So it's not a game changer.
It's not a game changer, but I would say that this B3 layout have one advantage is they got a bit of privacy. So your neighbor, they peep in, they can't see your unit. So this is the advantage of B3.
But I would still prefer B4 because even though the kitchen might be smaller, however, I feel that the study space will be a very good space for a storeroom. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think my first choice would be B4. Later, we are going to do a summary at the end of the session to run through with you why do we think this way, which are the units that you can be looking at, and how do you look at all these things. So here, B4, why is it good? Because this study area, although it doesn't make sense to have a study like that, but this can work as a storeroom. So first choice B4, second choice B3, third choice is B2, and fourth choice is B1 because of the pricing. So that's how I will rate the 2-bedroom. So now we are going through number of units of the 2-bedroom. Wow.
That's a lot, right? Just now we only have like 100 plus for the 1-bedder, but 2-bedroom, look at this number.
Yeah.
How do I sell in future?
So Hillock Green still got 103 left. Okay. In total, whole Lentor area got 763 units.
This is as of now. I have not even include like Lentor Mansion and the upcoming projects. So it seems like there are really quite a huge number of 2-bedroom here. Will selling be an issue in future?
The main thing we need to understand, supply come in two ways. First way is the number of units here. Second thing is, based on the number of units, how many of them will want to sell? How many of them will want to rent? How many of them will want to stay? So if let's say I have 700 units of 4-bedroom, for example, usually there will only be 5 to 10% of the units that are selling, because why? 4-bedroom owners who buy mostly don't stay.
Okay.
But 2-bedroom buyers are different. 2-bedroom, there is still a huge percentage that is buying for investment, which means they want to rent and they want to sell.
So I guess upon TOP, there will be a lot of people selling.
In a way, we can put it this way. Let's say a 30%, but even a 20%, we got 150 units in the market just based on this project. So that's the part that you need to think about. So which means that if I am looking to buy a 2-bedroom in Lentor region, my holding period need to be a bit longer.
Long runway.
I might not be able to sell at a good price at TOP time. So this is something that we need to think about. But of course, you still need to compare. Later we are going to compare the layout between all these projects. Then you will see. Do they have an advantage? And what price do they buy at? So what price should you be going in? What price should you be not buying? So next we have the difference between the Lentoria and Lentor Modern.
Yes. So for the Lentoria, obviously just now we have shared the 2-bedroom, right? So for the Lentor Modern, the main difference, as you can see here, is that all the Lentor Modern units comes with a flexi space. Okay, means all of them have got like a flexi or like a study area. If you were to look at the layout, based on the same size, Lentor Modern actually have an enclosable kitchen. And can you see that actually in the flexi area and both the kitchen area, there is window. So I personally feel that this is very livable for a young couple or even like a retiree. I would definitely prefer this over Lentoria.
So if you look at this very clearly in a 2-bedroom setup, this is definitely a more own stay layout. because I have all the things that I need. I can enclose my kitchen properly because I have my window here. I have a window in my study area. I have a window in my common toilet. But the master don't have lah. But I mean, this is really good enough. Which means that if I want to buy for own stay, I will usually choose this if next time they sell. So that's your challenge, which means that they will take away all your own stay buyer first. Which is usually I would prefer to sell to own stay buyer because they will pay more. So comparison wise, definitely Lentor Modern have an edge in terms of the layout for 2-bedroom. Next we are going to see Lentor Hill and Lentoria.
Yes, Lentor Hill Residences, well, the layout comes with traditional, like your typical layout, and also the dumbbell layout. So they also have enclosable kitchen. But the only thing here is that their study area in the Lentor Hill is not separated from the bedroom, which means that technically you're only just getting a bigger bedroom, but not a separate store or study area. So what's your personal take on this?
If we look at this 721 square feet, right, you can see that it's enclosable, but you have to do quite a lot of work. You look at the floor plan, you understand, because this part is not covered up. So you need to even cover up the front part all the way back. It's very different from Lentor Modern. So I would say this is still quite an open concept kitchen, and the toilet all don't have window. So the layout, maybe Lentor Hill will be slightly better, but it's very comparable comparing to Lentoria. So it's down to prices. I don't think there's a strong edge of Lentor Hill in terms of layout itself. So next we have the Hillock Green that we are talking about.
So for Hillock Green, right, similarly, this one, they do have enclosable kitchen, not like your Lentor Hill Residences. And for the study area, it's nicely separated from your master bedroom. So I do have a preference for Hillock Green in this sense. Are you thinking the same as well?
Yes, but of course the size also matters. This is 753 square feet. So it's coming down to the prices. If the price is quite similar, I prefer Hillock. So in short, 2-bedroom, my first preference is Lentor Modern, but no more.
Fully sold.
Fully sold. So you have to buy from resale. Second is Hillock Green. Third can be Lentoria or Lentor Hill. So I think these two can be comparable, but the first two choices will be Lentor Modern and Hillock Green. But of course, down to the prices. So next we are going into the price jump first in terms of the 2-bedroom. How much do I think is something that we should be looking at the higher floor and the lower floor? So you can see from here, Lentor Modern, 10 to 13,000 jump for 2-bedroom, which is quite high, which means that it's about 1% jump per floor. So if you realize just now the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom, Lentor Modern tends to have higher jump in terms of per floor.
Of course, it's integrated, right?
I mean, doesn't mean that it's integrated, we will have higher per floor jump. But their pricing strategy is a bit different. So you need to understand how the developer price. Because sometimes they will price based on their average out the cost, which means that the starting price, you will realize that Lentor Modern starting price can be cheaper than Lentor Hill, but the per floor jump is higher. So which means that Lentor Modern, bottom and the top floor can have huge difference. Lentor Hill, the bottom and top floor can be closer, but the starting price is more expensive.
This means that if I were to buy Lentor Modern, I would buy the lower floor.
Yes.
But if I were to buy Lentor Hill Residences, I can start from mid
to high floor. You can see the starting price for 2-bedroom in Lentor Hill is 1,356, but the per floor jump is 7,005. So it's about 0.6%.
So maybe Lentor Modern's every 1 level jump equals to Lentor Hill Residences every 2 level jump.
Something like that.
Something like that.
So the 2 plus study is about 0.6%. So it's averagely about 0.6%. Look at Hillock Green is about 0.8%. So you can see it's quite a standard range. Lentor Modern is the highest per floor jump. Lentor Hill is the lowest, and Hillock Green is in between. So we do not know about Lentoria yet. But if we fall between, like I say, between Lentor Hill and Hillock Green, or below Lentor Hill, then you want to go for it. Now we look at the 3-bedroom layout. So 3-bedroom layout, what do we have?
3-bedroom layout, we have the very compact one, which is 915 square feet. This will be facing Lentor Mansions. Okay, and for this layout, right, we have a proper 3-bedroom, kitchen good size, and that's basically it. There's only 8 units, and it's quite limited.
So with a window here lah, and possible and closable lah, you need to do something lah. But I think this is still a very decent layout that we can work with.
It's very compact.
And 915, you can fit in so many things. I think this is quite good. And most important, only 8 units. Later we'll look at the rest of the 3-bedroom. You'll understand why this is my first choice. Compact is sell to who? Compact is sell to people who want to buy something that is practical.
Okay.
I want cheap. I want to be able to utilize the space. So I don't need to be too grand or too nice, but I need to be cheap. So 915 for a compact is considered small size with all the things that is provided. Because there's some compact that is maybe 936, 980 plus square feet also have. Also 915 is considered on the lower side.
But this compact 3, right, it doesn't come with any storeroom. Do you think there will be an issue here?
Because compact 3 usually do not have storeroom. Only premium will have. That's why I say, people will buy 915 is for what?
Won't say, but limited budget.
Limited budget. So most important to them is what? Price point. But of course, sometimes they build very small size, but they compromise on maybe the one of the room only can put single bed. But you can see this layout don't have this issue.
Nicely done.
So now we look at the other 3, which is the 936 square feet.
Yeah. For the 936, right, as you can see across the board, right, none of the kitchen are actually enclosable. It's all kitchenettes. So for 3-bedroom with kitchenettes, personally, I feel that I would totally not get this for Wednesday because how do I do my heavy cooking? Every time when I cook, then the house will get smell, right? So for the 3-bedroom in this sense, right, it's road facing and also pool facing. So what's your take on this?
936 is definitely not something that I favor. Looking at the layout itself, I mean, if you really don't have unit to buy, you want to buy this, maybe you want to focus more on the road facing or I would say the Lentor Mansion facing, which is the C4. Why? Because it will be slightly cheaper. So you still got a chance that you can make money. I mean, doesn't say that this type of layout cannot, because I've been selling some of the units like that in the market. Some of them who bought Affinity, they still make $300,000+. But it's a bit tougher to sell, I would have to say that. So now we are going into the premium layout.
Yes, and this will be the biggest, right? 1119 square feet. And so for the premium layout, right, you can see that it comes with a very sizable kitchen, utility and yard. But the main difference over here is your living and dining area. So instead of the normal, like the portrait size that we saw just now, right, this will be a landscape. But one of the downside, I would say, is a long corridor, right? So because when I enter the house, of course the units will feel very narrow. What do you think? Because if you go to the show flat, right, what the show flat did was that they put mirrors. So I think it did enhance the space. So interior design does help. But in general, buying such layout, even though it's a very good living and dining landscape size, but with the long corridor, do you think it will affect the resale value?
I don't think it will be a huge problem. I mean, people would prefer without long corridor, but there is a lot of plus point for this 1119. First, a landscape living room, which is very rare in a 3-bedroom. Second, they come with a study with a window, which is also very rare. Between this road face C5P and C6P, I would prefer C5P. Why? Because facing road, firstly, they will be significantly cheaper. Second, the entrance is like that. Same size, but this entrance is not straight. So this one, there is privacy, and you can actually put a small chair here so that before you go out you can wear your shoes, but this one totally you can't do much. So this is totally wasted. This one still can do a bit here and there. Of course, I'm not saying that I love this long layout, but I'm trying to tell you that there is more plus point than minus for this 3-bedroom 1119 square feet. Okay, so but we are going into the prices So this is the pricing strategy for a 3-bed in other developments. Surprisingly, for Lentor Modern, the
it's
per
very
floor
okay.
jump. So it's about how much? 0.6% average, all of them. So 0.6%, which means that if you are still within the 0.6, I would say, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule you should go higher or lower. But if you are below 0.6, I think it's good that you can go higher floor. Okay, but if you are more than 0.6, you might not want to go for the higher floor. Okay, so this is for 3 bedroom. So next we are going into the 4 bedroom layout. Okay, we have a few. First two is the D1 and D2, which is the 1206.
The 4-bedroom classic, right? So for the 4-bedroom classic, what you're seeing here is that the living and dining is portrait. But you can see that the floor plan itself is more of like a dumbbell because they have the junior master over on one side and the other 3 bedrooms over on the other side, and proper yard and utility space as well. So if we were to look at the other 4-bedroom premium, this will be slightly different because of the living and dining space itself. So do you think this will be a factor that will actually affect the resale value again?
Yes, but like I say, in Lentor, we cannot just compare within Lentoria. Of course, we want to compare within inside, but we need to understand the surrounding also. What is our competitors? What type of units they have? What type of layout they have? Will they be better than us? In short, I will put it this way. It's surprising that I say this because usually I would prefer this type of layout with a landscape. But in Lentoria, I would prefer this 1206 square feet. I'll explain the reason to you why later. First, I just explain the layout a bit to you. You can see very clearly that they have almost everything that you need. Okay, they have the utility room with the window, very rare. I mean, for this D1 or D2 don't have. They have a junior master. They have a yard area, which you can see here is a white color, which means that here is actually a low wall that you can do your laundry, everything because outside is your AC latch so you can actually do all these things that you need to. Okay, so most of the things that you need is all provided for the 1206 square feet 4 bedroom. And key thing, the 3 bed premium is 1119, the 4 bed is 1206. So the price point between these two will be quite close. So when it's quite close, it makes sense for 4 bedroom. That's why I would say, come to this, it's also down to practicality. But this layout 1345 is bigger, but it doesn't place into the part that is super grand or whichever, because first thing, the junior master is here, which make the whole place look a bit narrow. If this one is being pushed up, this lane is cut short.
That'll be nicer.
This part is shorter, then it will be nicer. But the whole configuration is not the best. Plus the study, got window here, but you face your own wall. So it will be very dark also. So the window doesn't serve any purposes. Premium wise, I don't think it's the best. But why? I will do a comparison for you. So you see Lentor Modern and Lentor Hill. These are the two comparisons. So you can see very clearly already. Comparing to just now what we have, these two have a better layout. Okay, so Lentor Hill, what is the advantage? They have a very proper kitchen area. Okay, and they have window here, glass here, which means that you make the unit bigger. But the setback is that, of course, when I come in, my view of the living room is like that. So which means that my living room size is almost like that. It's still bigger than Lentoria. So in terms of grandness, this is still better. So this is average about 2.7 million. But now we look at Lentor Modern. This is one of the best layout. You see, you come in here, this whole piece is a glass panel. So which means that my view is like that.
So instantly you will feel the grandness.
You will feel that it's super big. You see the difference in the size that we are looking at. And they have a proper study with window. The door is here. If I shift the door here, this one can become a walk-in wardrobe. Everything you talk about grand, this is in place. But of course the price is high.
Correct. It's about 400,000 difference.
What I'm trying to tell you here is that the 1345 is actually caught in between. Why? Because I don't have practicality, because I will be not super cheap.
True. For the 1345, actually I would rather take Lentor Hill Residences, right? You appear bigger as well.
Yes. Lentor Hill and the 1345 will lose to Lentor Modern in terms of feeling good. So it's like caught in between. Then The 1206 will come in place when there's buyers who need to buy something but they have a very limited budget. So I would prefer the 1206 for Lentoria 4-bedroom. Okay?
So it seems like for Lentoria, we are going for the more like practical reason. We are not banging huge on the grandness because Lentor Modern have got the grandness, right?
For the 4-bedroom.
Right.
So now next we will look at this.
Hillock Green.
Hillock Green. It is quite similar to Lentoria. It's a like combination of Lentoria and Hillock and Lentor Hill because they have a junior master which Lentor Hill do not have, but the kitchen wise is very close to actually Lentor Hill so not bad, but I will still prefer Lentor Modern in terms of grandness. Then practicality 1206 Lentoria. Okay, so now we are going into 4-bedroom price strategy. You can see Lentor Modern again, suddenly it shoot out again. So it's $16,000 jump per floor, which is about 0.55%. Okay, but Lentor Hill is about 0.35%. Hillock Green is 0.8%. Hillock Green is very all 0.8 for 1, 2, 3, 4.
Interesting.
But Lentor Modern have a lot of range difference. So you can see actually from all these pricing strategy, Lentor Hill buy high floor makes sense. That's
for the big ones.
Little. So how much Lentoria jump will be a good range? Anything that fall between 0.35% to 0.55% will be safe to go for higher floor good unit. I think you can stretch a bit. If it's 0.6 or 0.65, maybe you can still stretch a bit because 4-bedroom buyers views are quite important. Next time you sell.
Yeah, but it seems like at this point, right, for budget reason, I will go for Lentor Hill. But for feeling good reason, I will go for Lentor Modern. Yeah, so the price point for Lentoria really have to be really careful with your entry price.
Definitely. So I think in terms of the 4-bedroom compact, you want to go for the cheapest unit. But like I say, if a second and a 10th floor unit, the price difference is less than 0.4% per floor jump, I will still go for the higher floor. Because bear in mind, I'm still selling to a lot of stay buyers. Even though they are practical, they will still want something that, good view. So this is important comparing to the 1 and 2 bedroom. Okay, so now we are just going to run through the summary and we'll end off the video today. In summary, 1 bedroom, recommended stack 5-6.
Because it'll be cheaper facing than the one that is pool facing. And for the 1 bedroom itself, right, we are mainly targeting investors. So investors, all we care about is the yield and also the most value buy. So that's pretty straightforward. And so for the 2-bedroom,
the first choice will be stack 10 and 16. Okay, second choice will be 11 and 15. So we will show you why. Because 10 and 16 is the one that come with the study, which is just now why we are showing you, because all these will be almost same pricing in terms of per square foot because they are the same facing
and the same size.
Yes. So 10-16 have a slightly better layout because you have a study which you can act as a storeroom. Okay, and 11 and 15 is the one that come with the window, but the main thing is that we have the privacy here. So first choice here 10-16, second choice 11 and 15. Now we go to the 3-bedroom. 3-bedroom recommended stack 7 for compact and stack 18 for premium. Compact is because of the size, the layout.
The 915 square feet.
18 is because of also the entrance. Just now I shared, because the entrance, you got some privacy that you have. So now we can see here, compact, why we recommend? Because this is a decent layout that will be very suitable for people who have certain budget that you're working with.
And also this is pretty limited because it's on the low rise one.
So only 8 units. Why I would say that the premium for Lentoria is good. I found here to here is about 5.1 meter for 3-bed premium. Surprisingly, here to here for 4-bed is also 5.1 meter. So the 1345 and the 1119, the width of the living room is the same. So which means when I walk into a 4 and I walk into a 3, the initial feeling is almost the same.
No difference.
Which means that this one will make the buyer feel that actually I buy this also not bad. And the study is like that. So it's open up, but this study is blocked. So actually the three have a very good advantage. So the 1119 is something that I think you should be putting a bit of focus in. If you want to buy something that is you feel grand, you feel good, this is one of the key layout that you want to put your focus on. 4 bedroom, 1206. Why 1206?
We have pretty much explained that earlier.
I hope today the video will be good for all of you because we have run through not just floor plan, but we also compare surrounding floor plan.
A lot of cross analysis. That's all we have for Lentoria. If you guys feel that this is really useful for you, please continue to follow us on our channel so that in future when the new projects are being launched, we will progressively add onto this presentation.
So if you want to understand more, just like and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you soon. Bye.